Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Library Love for Library Reads. I'm Susan Maguire, Senior Editor, Collection Management and Library Outreach at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Today's slide presentation and title list were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by typing the URLs on this screen into your web browser. If you have any trouble, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we'll pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable them on your screen, please look for and click the Show Captions icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of them at any time by selecting Caption Settings. And finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain an atmosphere of respect and fairness. Anyone who violates the standard of behavior, including engaging in any form of harassment, may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from Kaya Hodge, Marketing Assistant at Tor Publishing Group, Melissa Croce, Senior Marketing Manager at Simon & Schuster, Golda Rademacher, Library Sales and Marketing Director at W.W. Norton, Kate McManus, Library Marketing Associate at Penguin Random House, and Rebecca Vnuk, LibraryReads Executive Director. We'll kick things off with Kaya Hodge. Kaya is a creative publishing professional working in marketing at Tor Publishing Group. She is also a published writer and editor for the nonprofit writing organization Girls Write Now. Kaya advocates for diversity, equity, and inclusion across all literary mediums. Take it away, Kaya.
Hello, and thanks everyone. I'm so excited to share some of our new and upcoming titles from Tor Publishing Group. If you're interested in any title that I'm presenting, please note that we have e-galleys available for almost every title on NetGalley and Edelweiss, so feel free to go ahead and request those. And on that note, let's dive right in. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. We loved Addie, a girl cursed with an eternity of loneliness, and now this genre-defying novel is about 3 very different but equally unforgettable women. One with immortality she never asked for, another whose appetite for life rivals the ability to survive, and one whose hunger for stories may lead to heartbreak. Think Interview with the Vampire meets The Familiar, pulling together historical and contemporary threads in a haunting and intimate rush. This is V.E. Schwab's next glorious standalone novel, and this supernatural tale is highly rated across most anticipated lists. On sale June 10th. Never the Roses by Jennifer K. Lambert. For everyone in their romanticy era, Lambert's debut is taking the subgenre to new heights. This epic and deeply emotional romantic fantasy fuses elements of The Witch's Heart and Circle. As rival warrior sorcerers struggle with the impact of war on their souls, their ever-growing feelings for each other only adds pressure. Both whimsical and hot, this captivating novel explores love that is truly life or death. Passion and yearning, tension and war are all encased in the deluxe edition, which features beautiful stenciled edges, designed end papers, a case stamp, and a map. On sale July 8th. The Library at Helpor by Cassandra Kaw, USA Today bestselling author. This dark academia novel is gruesome, gripping, and gothic. Alessa Lee has to choose: join forces with the Haven of Monsters at the Helpor Technical Institute for the Gifted, or be eaten alive. Literally. This story is perfect for fans of A Deadly Education and the Atlas Six, or anyone hungry for something a little bit more diabolical. Kaw introduces readers to a cutthroat magic school that is unlike any other. The deluxe hardcover edition features glorious cobalt blue sprayed edges too. On sale July 22nd. Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle, USA Today bestselling author. Now, what are the odds that 8 million people die in a single day? That's what Vera, a former statistics and probability professor, still struggles to understand. Led to a Vegas casino searching for answers, she must go up against horrifying odds to save the world. This sci-fi, smart, crime mystery thriller is terrifying and full of horror. It's a queer masterpiece that'll leave you eager for more in the most improbable, bizarre way. On sale August 12th. Hemlock and Silver by New York Times bestseller and Hugo Award-winning author T. Kingfisher is the eerie reimagining of the enchanting classic Snow White. Spellbinding in every sense of the word, this tale follows Anja the Healer. Being tasked with saving the king's daughter from death proves to be an unpredictable challenge, and when all else fails, Anja finds a secret world hidden behind a magic mirror. Poison, magic, and the dark realm have a whole new meaning in this deluxe hardcover edition, featuring bright green sprayed edges, a foil stamp on the casing, and custom end papers illustrated by the author. On sale August 19th. The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sarah Rosh, New York Times and USA Today bestselling author. This charming and quirky tale is about two rival wizards. Being grad students and research finalists puts them to the most demanding test of all time, working together for a grant. Their research just might uncover feelings that could change everything as they know it. It's giving real enemies to lovers. This fantasy academia rom-com is witty, sexy, and will leave you wanting more, like Ali Hazelwood meets Dungeons and Dragons. The deluxe paperback edition also features turquoise sprayed edges. On sale August 26. Love Bites by Cynthia St. Auburn, USA Today bestselling author, is the first book in a snarky supernatural series that readers will be ravenous for. With humor, Love Bites mixes Hannah's everyday struggle as a recent divorcee and cat mom with an out-of-this-world murder mystery. This is perfect for fans of the wit and snark of the Finlay Donovan book series and Assistant to the Villain. On this journey, we'll all learn just how powerful the paranormal can get. Art, cats, and murder make this fantasy the kind of book that you, quote, read on the weekend on your couch, sipping tea and giggling to yourself. On sale September 9th. Red City by Marie Lu is number one New York Times bestselling author, is the first volume in a powerful series, The New Alchemist. Similar to The Godfather and The Magicians, this tale is stunning, dark, and deadly, a contemporary fantasy. In this highly anticipated adult debut, set in alternate Los Angeles, ambition becomes power, loyalty becomes lies, and war is inevitable for Sam and Ari, once friends, now enemy alchemists. Marie's descriptive warfare is stylish and inventive, with gasp-worthy twists and more secrets to uncover the further you dig beneath the surface. This story isn't only seductively inviting either. This story isn't the only thing seductively inviting either. The deluxe hardcover edition features dark crimson sprayed edges. On sale October 14th. Girl Dinner by Olivia Blake, New York Times bestselling author of the Atlas Six. How far would you go for beauty, accolades, and universal respect? Meet Nina, a sophomore eager for the brightest possible future, and Dr. Sloan, overwhelmed with family as a returning professor postpartum. They're both willing to go the extra mile to access the most exclusive sorority on campus. That is, until they discover the bloody truth about womanhood, success, and a sinister new wellness challenge. This darkly funny novel about power and envy offers a unique commentary on motherhood, relationships, and above all, academia. The deluxe hardcover edition is gorgeous, and I know that y'all see the hot pink sprayed edges. On sale October 21st. Blackthorn by J.T. Geisinger, #1 international and indie best-selling author of over 30 novels. This is a gothic romance. In this gothic romance, missing bodies and buried secrets aren't the only reasons why Maven Blackthorn is in for the ride of her life. The truth is as haunted as betrayal when Blackthorn returns to her small hometown for her grandmother's funeral, only to discover the bodies missing. This paranormal suspense, with more than a few wild twists, will leave you speechless. We're keeping the final cover under wraps for now, but it will be released soon, so expect the deluxe hardcover edition to feature stencil edges, a foil case stamp, exclusive end papers, and a detailed map. On sale November 4th. Brigands and Bread Knives by Travis Baldree, #1 New York Times bestseller of the Legends and Latte series. Returning to that cozy fantasy world, this new adventure stars Fern, a fan favorite foul-mouthed bookseller, relocating to the city of Thune with a longtime friend, reveals her true character. And after a drunken night, warriors and goblins are next on Fern's list of concerns. This is a poignant and touching emotional journey decked with charm. Fern will teach us all a thing or two about the ongoing quest for self-discovery. On sale November 11th. Your work as librarians is more important and necessary than ever before, so thank you for your time and attention. And here is where you can find Tor Publishing Group on TikTok for fun posts and news about exciting upcoming releases. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kaya. Our next presentation will come from Melissa Croce. Melissa is the Senior Marketing Manager for Adult Library Titles at Simon & Schuster. She's been with the company since 2020, and she's not reading everything from romance novels to poetry to narrative nonfiction. She likes to root for her many favorite hockey teams, play D&D, and watch K-dramas. Thanks for being here, Melissa. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Susan. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Today, I'm going to be focusing on titles publishing later this summer that I think would be perfect for your TBR and to submit to Library Reads. So let's get started. Next. All right, The Art of a Lie. This is perfect for readers or book clubs who can't decide on what genre they want to read. Historical fiction? Do they want mystery? Well, why not both? In 18th century England, following the murder of her husband and what looked to be a violent street robbery, widow Hannah Cole is struggling to keep her head above water. She owns a confectionery shop, but it's barely turning a profit because her suppliers are conspiring to put her out of business because they don't like women in trade. Henry Fielding, the famous author turned magistrate, is threatening to confiscate the money in her husband's bank account because he believes it might have been illicitly acquired. Sure. And even those who claim to be Hannah's friends have darker intent. Only William Devereux seems different. A friend of her late husband, William helps Hannah unravel some of the mysteries surrounding his death. He also tells her about an Italian delicacy called ice cream, an innovation she is convinced will transform the fortunes of her shop. But their friendship opens Hannah up to speculation and gossip and draws Henry's attention her way, locking her into a battle of wits more devastating than anything she can imagine. Next. The Devil's Advocate by Steve Kavanaugh. So I wanted to include this very quickly because I feel like Steve has been blowing up lately. I go on NetGalley, for instance, and requests to review his books are through the roof. The Devil's Advocate is book number 6 in the Eddie Flynn series, where Eddie faces off against a ruthless and corrupt district attorney who is so addicted to winning cases he will do anything to fix them in his favor, even if that includes murder. Next. Dogs by C. Mallon. As night falls upon the town of Carbon, teenager Hal and his friends are cruising the back roads in their terrible car, as teenagers do. From the wrestling gym to the gas station, from his mom's kitchen to the mall parking lot, Hal bears quiet witness to the beauty and the horror he perceives in the slow, lonely world of his small hometown. Withdrawn and reticent, Hal is haunted by the specter of violence. Safety and comfort are hard won in Carbon, a town dogged by stories of desperation and brutality, and his own home is a dark vault of troubled and unspoken memory. His greatest peace is found in the company of his dearest friend, Cody John, whose true compassion offers him a window to a better life. Over the course of a single night, a catastrophic chain of events is set into motion. Its devastating conclusion will explode the fragile balance that once kept the boys together. Unflinching, resolute, and beautifully rendered, Dogs is a compact literary debut of a tight 200 pages that explores masculinity, trauma, and violence. Next. The Incredible Kindness of Paper. This is for fans of Matt Haig and Claire Pooley, and for anyone who is craving a feel-good romance with a little bit of magic right now. In elementary school, Chloe is assigned Oliver as her pen pal partner. Before sending her letter, she also whispers a note into it, and he hears her. Little does she know it would begin the beginning of a friendship that would bloom into something more. That is, until disaster strikes and Oliver and his family disappear without a trace. 20 years later, Chloe is a high school guidance counselor in New York, but life in the Big Apple is not what she dreamed it would be. Desperate for encouragement, she gives herself a pep talk via uplifting messages written on yellow origami paper that she folds into roses. When one of the roses unexpectedly finds its way to a neighbor in need of cheering up, a desire to spread kindness and optimism is sparked in Chloe, who begins folding more roses and leaving them around the city. Across the same city, Oliver has picked him up from the rough circumstances that forced him to leave everything behind as a teenager, including Chloe. Now a successful financial analyst, his past continues to haunt him. But when the city is suddenly inundated with yellow origami roses, a specific one finds its way into his hands and changes his life once more forever. Next. All right, what hunger? Okay, so maybe romance isn't for you and you usually read something completely different. I've got you covered. This book is perfect for fans of Jennifer's Body and the Power. It's the summer before high school, and Romy Wynn finds herself too young to work and too old for cartoons. Her days are spent in a small backyard dozing off to trashy magazines. Its stark contrast stands her brother Tommy, the pride and joy of their immigrant parents, a popular honor student destined to be the first in their family to attend college. Although him leaving fills Ronnie with dread, as she contemplates the quiet house she'll be left alone with her parents, Meh and Ba. Their parents rarely speak of their past in Vietnam except through the lens of food, and in the aftermath of war, their parents taught the two siblings that meat was a dangerous luxury, a symbol of survival that should never be taken for granted. When tragedy strikes, Ronnie's world is upended. Her sense of self and understanding of her family are shattered, and at her first high school party, a boy crosses the line, and Ronnie is overtaken by a force larger than herself. This newfound power comes with an insatiable hunger for raw meat, a craving that is both a saving grace and a potential destroyer. What Hunger is a visceral, emotional journey through the perks and pitfalls of female rage. This is also an ode to Ronnie's Vietnamese lineage and her mother's emotional memory, an ode to generational trauma and bonding through the lens of body horror. Next. Black Cherokee. This is Betty meets Queenie in this courageous coming-of-age story about a Black girl fighting for recognition in a South Carolina Cherokee community that refuses to accept her ancestry as legitimate. Ophelia Blue Rivers is a descendant of Cherokee freedmen, Blacks and formerly enslaved by rich Southern Cherokee. She's Black, but doesn't understand why that makes her different. She's Cherokee, but struggles to know what that means. Their town of Etsy, once a reservation, still lives with the wounds of its disbanding. When the town and the river that sustains it are put in danger, personal rivalries threaten their very survival. Against this backdrop, Ophelia begins her spirited and at times harrowing search for place and family. She must discover, what does it mean to belong when belonging comes at such a high price? With dazzling language, keen insight, and an unforgettable voice, Black Cherokee is an astonishing novel from an emerging literary talent. Next. Leverage. This is for readers of Percival Everett and viewers of the show Industry, a timely and darkly funny thriller about race, power, and the corrupting influence of the almighty dollar, as we all know. Ali Jafar is a rising star at the notorious hedge fund Prism Capital, but fortunes change fast on Wall Street. When his biggest investment goes up in smoke, Al loses $300 million and his fragile sense of self-worth in a single day. He's certain he'll be fired, but Prism's obscenely rich and politically connected founder isn't that merciful. Instead, he gives Ali an impossible ultimatum: recover the lost money in 3 months or become the fall guy for the government's insider trading investigation into the firm. Depressed and desperate, Ali turns to high finance's dark side, where he battles backstabbing coworkers and cutthroat competitors and digs himself into an even deeper hole. As the clock winds down and the pressure mounts, his health deteriorates. To survive, he'll have to outfox one of the world's most powerful men and decide if he values the dearest asset of all, himself. Next. One Dark Night. Okay, I think the tone of this one is pretty self-explanatory by the title and packaging. On Halloween, a group of teenage students meet in the woods near Sally in the Wood, a road steeped in local lore and rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a murdered girl. By the end of the night, one student will be dead. Rachel, the school guidance counselor, is trying to keep a handle on her increasingly distant teenage daughter Ellie, while students and parents panic and mourn. Her ex-husband and Detective Ben has concerns about his daughter's safety as he investigates the death amidst a personal crisis of his own. Meanwhile, Ellie is keeping secrets from both her parents, including about where she was that fateful night. Told from multiple perspectives, One Dark Night is a white-knuckled and suspenseful thriller about urban legends, privilege, and the past that continues to haunt us all. Next. What We Left Unsaid. The Chu siblings haven't seen each other in years, but when they're told that their ailing mother is scheduled for an operation next month, they agree to visit her together. Then their mother makes an odd request. Before seeing her, they must go on a road trip together to the Grand Canyon. 30 years ago, a strange incident had aborted the family's previous road trip there. No one's spoken about it, but during this journey, the middle-aged Chu siblings have no choice but to confront that childhood experience. Together, Bonnie, Kevin, and Alex travel along Route 66. But as the trip continues, they realize that this great American road trip may not be what they expected. Facing their own prejudices and those of others, they somehow learn to bridge the distances between them, their present day, and their past. Next. All right, this book is perfect for those who love books, which is everyone here. This is the Book of Lost Hours. In 1938, 11-year-old Lizabeth is hidden from danger in a mysterious place called the Time Space, a library where all the memories of the past are stored inside of books. Her father, who hid her there, doesn't return for her, and she becomes trapped, spending her adolescence walking through the memories of those who lived before. She soon discovers that living timekeepers are entering the time space to destroy the memories and maintain their own preferred version of history. In turn, Elizabeth sets about trying to salvage the past, creating her own book of lost memories. Until one day in 1949, when she meets an American timekeeper named Ernest, setting her on a course to change history and the time space forever. Now, 1965. Amelia is mourning the death of her uncle and guardian, Ernest, when she's approached by Moira, the head of the CIA's highly secretive temporal recon program. Moira tells her about the existence of time-space and enlists her help in recovering a strange book that her uncle once sought. You can see where this is going. But Amelia quickly realizes that the past and the truth are not as straightforward as Moira would like her to believe. For fans of Ministry of Time and A Short Walk Through a Wide World, this is a sweeping, unforgettable novel which explores memory, time, and the lengths we go to protect the existence of those we love. Next. The Break-In by Catherine Faulkner. Alice, a professional mother of one, is hosting a playdate with her friends at her upscale London home when a disturbed man breaks in. Alice panics and kills the man, an act later ruled to have been self-defense. Everyone tries to encourage Alice to move on with her life, but with strange comments appearing online, mysterious phone calls telling her all is not as it seems, and her husband, nanny, and friends behaving strangely, Alice finds herself drawn to the mystery of who the intruder really was. And as she digs deeper, she discovers a trail of dark secrets that spiral closer to home than she ever could have imagined. Next. All right, and to finish it off, we have a couple of more books, romance books, and who doesn't love a witchy story? An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating follows Thorn Scarhart, a lonely spinster witch in the 17th century who was accidentally hurled 350 years into the future, where her once isolated cottage is now a historical museum. With the help of the museum's new curator and her charming brother, Thorn dives headfirst in the 21st century dating scene. Good luck to her. And as she searches for romance, she might also find herself along the way. Anne Loves a Witch by Tricia O'Malley follows Sloane McGregor, a witch who swore she'd never return to her hometown of Briarhaven, but is summoned home with her sisters by her grandmother, who needs them to break the curse haunting their bloodline. Knox Douglas is the mayor, and he's worked tirelessly to make his town a haven for magical folk. He does not need a cursed witch coming here, even if she's cute. But magic, like love, can't be planned. Next. All right, please go to simonschuster.net/library for more recommendations for library reads, picks, resources for librarians and patrons alike, and more. Next. That's everything for me, everyone. Thank you so much. You can find most, if not all, of these titles online at NetGalley and Edelweiss. Thank you so much again for having me.
Thank you so much, Melissa. We will now hear from Golda Rademacher. Golda is the Library Sales and Marketing Director at W.W. Norton. She just checked out a new book from the local library, so she'd better hurry up and finish it. I can relate. You can sign up for her monthly newsletter for art giveaways and find her on Instagram and Blue Sky at W.W. Norton Library. Take it away, Golda.
Thank you, Susan. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. When I wrote that introduction, I had just checked out a one-week express book from the library, and I'm happy to say that I did finish it and I returned it on time. So before I jump into the new books, here's a reminder that the Library Reads votes for June titles are due by May 1st. You can find digital ARCs for all these titles on Edelweiss. Angelica Schuyler Church was Alexander Hamilton's saucy sister-in-law and the heart of Thomas Jefferson's charming coterie of artists in Paris. Her transatlantic network of important friends spanned the political spectrum of her time and place, and her astute eye and brilliant letters kept them well informed. In this enthralling and revealing woman's eye view of a revolutionary era, Molly Beer breathes vibrant new life into a period usually dominated by masculine themes. In telling Angelica's story, she illuminates how American women have used their influence and networks for political ends, including the making of a new nation. The original is page-turning historical fiction set on a grand but decaying English estate in 1899. Grace, brought to the estate to live with her uncle when she was a child, is an artist with a talent for forgery. Saving the money she makes from her sales, she plans a new life, far from the family that has never seemed to want her. Then a man shows up claiming to be her cousin Charles, long presumed to be dead at sea. The original takes readers on an unforgettable adventure through a world of forgeries, family ties, and the fluctuations in fortune that can change our fate. There are hints of Daphne du Maurier and Sarah Waters, lots of scheming, and moving themes of queer love and chosen community. This Here Is Love goes further back in history to the 1690s. This is Princess Joy L. Perry's debut novel. 3 characters, 2 enslaved and 1 an indentured servant, must carve out choices from the narrowest of circumstances and confront heart-rending questions. How far would you go to protect your children from enslavement? How can you create a lasting family after being torn from your own? Despite limited circumstances, these characters make complex choices that will spark rich discussions about what readers might have done. Bill McKibben is the author of more than 20 books, including the bestseller, The End of Nature. In his new book, Here Comes the Sun, he writes about how we can get power from the sun and wind. McKibben traces the arrival of plentiful, inexpensive solar energy, which, if it accelerates, gives us a chance not just to limit climate change's damage, but to reorder the world on saner and more humane grounds. Getting there means overcoming obstacles like big oil, but McKibben sees a chance for a new civilization, one that looks up to the sun every day as the star that fuels our world. And here's a new book by Mary Roach. The cover has not been finalized yet, but I think it will be revealed soon. You can never really replace the human body, but as best-selling science writer Mary Roach discovers, it sure is interesting to try. How does a person and their surgeon decide that it's time to cut off an underperforming foot and replace it with a prosthetic? How do you combat the stigma of ostomy? How do you remove something from a donor in a way the family will be comfortable with? Today, we're attempting to grow body parts from scratch using stem cells and 3D printers. Replaceable You is Mary Roach's 8th book with Norton. Through interviews with patients, physicians, pathologists, engineers, and scientists, Roach immerses readers in the wondrous, improbable, and surreal quest to build a new you. In his new book, Dark Renaissance, renowned scholar Stephen Greenblatt reconstructs Christopher Marlowe's brief life and shows how his involvement with the Queen's spy service inspired his dramatic masterpieces on power and its costs. With detailed historical insight, Greenblatt explores how the people Marlowe knew and the transformations they wrought birthed the economic, scientific, and cultural power of the modern world, involving Faustian bargains with which we reckon still. Without Fear is a sweeping history of the lives and ideas of Black women who were at the forefront of the struggle for human rights in the United States. Acclaimed historian Keisha Blaine shows how this historically marginalized group moved beyond an esoteric concept of human rights to an active organizing principle. She writes about their aspirations, their visions, their strategies, and their struggles, and gives us a window into how Black women pioneered a human rights approach to combat systems of oppression. And then back to fiction for a minute. The Persian is the new espionage thriller by David McCloskey. He is a former CIA analyst and has received lots of acclaim for his authentic and fast-paced thrillers. He's also the co-host of the podcast, The Rest is Classified. In The Persian, David McCloskey takes readers deep into the shadow war between Iran and Israel, with a character who soon finds himself entangled in a deadly game of spy versus spy. Joy Harjo's new book, Girl Warrior, was inspired by a group of young women that she met at a powwow in Tulsa, who told her their stories and asked for advice. Informed by her own experiences and those of her ancestors, Harjo offers invaluable advice for navigating the many challenges of maturation, from facing mental illness to grappling with parents, friendships, love, and loss. Girl Warrior also guides readers toward art, poetry, and music as powerful tools for developing their own ethical sensibility. In this book, Harjo lends her unique voice to the complexity and joy of becoming a woman today. And if you haven't seen her stunning new picture book, For a Girl Becoming, illustrated by Adriana Garcia, you must take a look at it. Based on the popular TikTok series, Effed Up Fairy Tales presents modern retellings of some of the strangest and darkest stories humans ever invented. Inspired by sources across the world, Liz Gotauko conjures gossipy animals, homicidal royals, doomed commoners, and shape-shifting beaux, all reckoning with complicated adult problems that the Disney versions have sanitized. Gotauko offers insight into the story's contested origins, spills fun and weird details about fairy tale authors, and explores timeless themes that have long tickled the human subconscious. The book includes fairy tales from around the world, and it has illustrations by Liz's sister, Jade. Happy People Don't Live Here is the first novel by Amber Sparks, who has published 2 previous story collections. A reclusive mother and her daughter move into a haunted building full of eccentrics, ghosts, and secrets. For the very private Alice, Pine Lake seems like the perfect place to hide herself and her daughter. Until the day Fern finds a dead body in the dumpster. Intent on solving this mystery and dodging warnings from her increasingly paranoid mother, Fern's investigation digs up long-buried secrets that implicate each of her neighbors and conjures something else from beyond the grave. Happy People Don't Live Here takes a sharp look at love, family, and the sometimes dangerous myths we make for ourselves. Mysterious Press is publishing a collection of essays by Lee Child. In Reacher, he tells the stories behind the stories from the best-selling Jack Reacher novels. In addition to the essays, this collection also includes an original Reacher short story, the first new Reacher story entirely written by Lee Child since 2019. Entertaining and enlightening, Reacher, The Stories Behind the Stories, is a must-read for fans of the series and a capstone to any Lee Child collection. The Salvage is coming from Tin House Books. It is 1962, and Marta Curry, a trailblazing marine archaeologist, has been called to a small island off the east coast of Scotland. A Victorian shipwreck dragged from Arctic waters holds the remains of a celebrated explorer and the treasures of his final expedition. But on her first dive down to the ship, Marta becomes convinced she has seen a dark figure lurking amid the wreckage. Marta forms a relationship with Elsie, a local woman working in the island's only hotel, and when the ship's artifacts disappear, Marta and Elsie have to brave the freezing conditions to search for the missing objects before anyone else catches on. This will be good for fans of historical fiction and spooky fiction. I never have enough time to talk about all of our books, so here are even more summer titles. And then here is a look at more books coming this fall. The catalogs are up on Edelweiss now, and we are adding digital ARCs as soon as they become available. And here's my contact information again. You can sign up for the library newsletter through that library marketing link on the slide. And thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Golda. Our next presenter will be Kate McManus. Kate, Library Marketing Associate, graduated from Lafayette College with a degree in English, Literature, and Economics. Can you guess which classes she preferred? A lifelong avid reader, Kate grew up surrounded by books and always hoped to find herself working in publishing. Now, living in New York City, Kate spends her free time exploring and looking for her next favorite read. Thanks for being here, Kate, and the floor is yours.
All right, amazing. Thank you for having me, guys. I'm just going to go through a few of our intro slides so we can go to the next one. Just a couple quick resources for y'all. I'm sure many of you know about our excerpt samplers, our seasonal catalogs, and our book club brochures, but you can check those all out at penguinrandomhouselibrary.com. Next, please. And then we have two big virtual events coming up. This week, we have Day of Dialogue with Library Journal, and then also our Spring Book and Author Festival in a few weeks. So be sure to register for those. Next, please. And then last up, if you want to hear more from PRH Library, definitely sign up for our e-newsletters. There's a bunch, different topic areas, interest areas. So be sure to check that out and sign up for whatever your fancy is. Next. All right, so let's kick it off with These Summer Storms. This is going to be perfect for fans of Jodi Picoult, TJR, and Ellen Hildebrand. We follow Alice Storm, who hasn't been welcome at her family's private island off Rhode Island for 5 years, not since she was cast out and built her life beyond the Storm name, influence, and untold billions. But the shocking death of her larger-than-life father changes everything. Alice plans to keep her head down, pay her respects, and leave the minute the funeral is over, but unfortunately, her father had other plans. The eccentric, manipulative patriarch left his family a final challenge, an inheritance game designed to upend their world. The rules are clear: spend 1 week on the island, complete their assigned tasks, and receive the inheritance. This is going to be out July 8th, and it's going to be an incredible beach read. So fun, really dishy, and really exciting. Next, please. Next, I have Our Secrets Were Safe. 10 years after Sophia was killed in a tragic accident, her college ex, Caroline, and her former roommate, Brooke, almost have what they've always wanted. Caroline is on the precipice of scoring funding for her feminist tech startup, and Brooke is newly engaged and starting her dream job at a prestigious prep school. But unless the two best friends can cheat fate a second time, one night's secrets could unravel everything. When Caroline gets threatening comments on her company's Instagram and Brooke receives a sinister email with an ominous photo attached, all from Sophia, their carefully constructed facade begins to crumble. And when one of their last connections to Sophia turns up dead, they must decide how far they're willing to go in order to survive. The devil's in the details, and the tiniest mistake could prove fatal. This is out July 15th and is a really exciting thriller. Next, please. Next is When Cranes Fly South. This is a work in translation from Swedish. Liza Ridzin, actually won the Swedish Book of the Year award for this title, and now Doubleday is finally bringing it to English-speaking audiences. So we follow Bo, who is running out of time, yet time is one of the few things he's got left. These days, his quiet existence is broken up by daily visits from his home care team. Fortunately, he still has his beloved elk hound, Sixten, to keep him company. So now his son, with whom Bo has a rocky relationship, insists upon taking the dog away, claiming that Bo has grown too old to properly care for him. The threat of losing Sixten stirs up a whirlwind of emotion, leading Bo to take stock of his life, his relationships, and the imperfect ways he's expressed love over the years. Next. Okay, so next up, I have the newest book from Jason Mott, author of Hell of a Book, who won the National Book Award in 2021. We're all super excited about this title. And people like us, two Black writers, are trying to find peace and belonging in a world that is riven with gun violence. One is on a global book tour after a big prize win, and the other is set to give a speech at a school that has suffered a shooting. As their two storylines merge, truths and antics abound in equal measure. Characters drink booze out of an award trophy, menaces lurk in the shadows, tiny French cars putter around the countryside, handguns seem to hover in the air, and dreams endure against all odds. People Like Us is wickedly funny and incredibly sad all at once. It's an absolute triumph, both bursting with larger-than-life characters and a very real take on our world and the current political state we live in. The book contains characters experiencing deep loss and longing, and it is buoyed by riotous humor and characters who also share the deepest love. This is going to be incredible. I know Jason Mott is absolutely beloved, and we're really looking forward to bringing this to everybody. Next, please. All right, I have Buckeye next by Patrick Ryan. In Ohio, a moment of stolen passion sparked in the exuberant aftermath of the Allied victory in Europe finds Cal Jenkins, a man wounded not in war, but by his inability to serve in it, to Margaret Salt, a woman trying to obscure her past. Cal's wife, Becky, has a spiritual gift. She is a seer who can conjure the dead, helping families connect with those they've lost. Margaret's husband, Felix, is serving on a Navy cargo ship out of harm's way, until a telegram suggests that the unthinkable might have happened. Later, as the country reconstructs in a post-war boom, a secret grows in Ohio, but nothing stays buried forever in that small town. Against the backdrop of some of the most transformative decades in modern America, the consequences of that long ago encounter ripple through the next generation of both families, compelling them to re-examine who they thought they were and what the future might hold. Next. All right, next I have Erin Craig's A Land So Wide. This is her adult debut, coming on the tails of her best-selling YA novel, The 13th Child. So we follow Greer Mackenzie, and like everyone else in the settlement of Mistaken, Greer is trapped. Founded by an ambitious lumber merchant, the village is blessed with rich natural resources that have made its people prosperous, but at a cost. The same woods that have lined the townsfolk's pockets harbor dangerous beasts, wolves, bears, and the bright eyes. Monsters beyond description who have rained utter destruction down on nearby settlements. But Mistaken's founders have a deal with the mysterious benevolence. The warding stones that surround the town will keep the bright eyes out and the town citizens in. Anyone who spends a night in Mistaken's borders belongs to it forever. All right, this is going to be a really excited romance fantasy, very, very excited, and Erin A. Craig is just incredible. So again, really looking forward to this one. Next, please. Okay, Elizabeth Gilbert is back, the author of Eat, Pray, Love, with a new memoir. She has, in her previous books, Eat, Pray, Love, and Big Magic, has taught readers how to live authentically and creatively. So we're really excited for this. So in 2000, Elizabeth Gilbert meets Raya. They become friends, then best friends, then inseparable. When tragedy entered their lives, the truth was finally laid bare. The two were in love. They were also a pair of addicts on a collision course towards catastrophe. What if your most beautiful love story turned into your biggest nightmare? What if the dear friend you taught so much about your self-destructive tendencies became the unstable partner with whom you disastrously reenacted every one of them with? And what if your most devastating heartbreak opened a pathway to your greatest awakening? This is going to be incredible. I love Elizabeth Gilbert, and this is going to be a really deep, sometimes upsetting, but beautiful memoir. Next, please. I don't feel like I need to explain this one at all. I think the title of The Librarians does all the talking for me. But briefly, in the leafy suburbs of Austin, Texas, a small branch library welcomes the public every day of the week. But the patrons who love the helpful, unobtrusive staff and leave rave reviews on Yelp don't always realize that their librarians are human too. We follow a few librarians, Hazel, who fled halfway across the world for what she hopes will be a new beginning, Jonathan, an ex-college football player who has never really fit in, and Astrid, who's trying to forget heartbreak by immersing herself in her work, and then Sophie as well, who has nothing to lose but maintains kind of a careful distance from her coworkers. This is all said when two patrons turn up dead after the library's inaugural murder mystery themed game night, the librarian's quiet routines come crashing down. Something sinister has stirred, something that threatens every single one of them. And the only way the librarians can save the library and themselves is to let go of their secrets, trust one another, and band together. Next, please. Okay, and then last up, I have We Survived the Night by Julian Brave Noisecat. Julian Brave Noisecat's childhood was rich with cultural and contradictions. Sorry. When his father, an artist haunted by a turbulent past, abandoned his family, he and his non-native mother were embraced by the urban native community in Oakland, California, as well as by family on the Kaneem Lake Indian Reserve in British Columbia. In his father's absence, Noisecat immersed himself in native history and culture to understand the man he seldom saw, his past, his story, where he came from, and by extension, himself. Drawing from 5 years of on-the-ground reporting, We Survived the Night paints a profound and unforgettable portrait of contemporary Indigenous life alongside an intimate and deeply powerful reckoning between a father and son. It's soulful, daring, and an indelible work from an important new voice. All right. And that's all I have for you guys today. If you want any e-galleys, you can go to this tiny URL. It'll bring you to Edelweiss, and then the list will be sent out after. Thank you all for having me.
Thanks so much, Kate. And now that we've heard all about all of those wonderful titles, Library Reads Executive Director Rebecca Vnuk is here to tell us how you can participate in the Library Reads program and vote for these fantastic books. Take it away, Rebecca.
Thanks so much, Susan. And I actually wanted to say a big thank you to Booklist and to our wonderful publisher friends for sponsoring this webinar every spring and every fall. I think that it is really great to have the chance to learn about upcoming books, and Library Reads really appreciates getting a spot to tell folks about Library Reads and what we do. And I was thinking about it today and realized I really enjoy talking to new folks about this. And then I thought, you know, there's a lot of people who already know Library Reads. What can I talk to them about? So I am asking you, if you are already a Library Reads user, and this might be the type of webinar that you would duck out at the end here because you've already heard all this before, what would you like to hear me talk about in the fall when we do this one again? So if you want to send me an email with some ideas of other things that we could talk about Library Reads related, my email is rebecca@libraryreads.org. And that also goes for anybody who's new to Library Reads. After this, if you have any questions, feel free to email me and let me know what you need to know more about. But let's go to the next slide. And let me just tell you how to get to know more about us. So Library Reads is a registered 501c6 nonprofit organization. And our mission is to connect adults with books that library staff across the country recommend. We also provide free training and events for library staff centered on reader's advisory for adult patrons. Next slide. We advocate for adult books of all types, nonfiction, fiction. Vote for your favorites every month. Everyone who works in a public library in the US is eligible to vote. So you might be a member of Library Reads without even realizing it. If you work in a public library, you're one of us. It does not matter what your job title is, what department you're in, as long as you read new adult books and love to share your recommendations. The only real requirement we have is that you need to be signed up for NetGalley or Edelweiss or both as working in a public library. So let's say you work in a public library and you have not heard of us before. Why should you follow us and why should you participate? For Reader's Advisory, I say this constantly. It is 10 more books plus every month that you can pretend that you've read. So we're going to look in a minute at one of our lists. We do a top 10 every month. It's actually technically a top 12 because we've added 2 board bonus picks. Every month, we want to make sure we get a nonfiction pick in there as well. And then we have our Hall of Fame, which I'm going to give you all a little sneak peek. Or actually, it's not because the list came out today. So it's not a sneak peek anymore. Today, if you were looking at our list, you noticed we had 12 Hall of Famers. So I was very excited by that. That is 26 extra books this month that you can look at our list, feel confident about recommending them to your patrons, and your whole list itself will go up. I know mine always does every time I look at this. It's always also good for collection development. You can check our list against your orders to make sure you're adding these great books to your collection, and it really helps you become more familiar with new books and authors that are getting attention. Next slide. So again, it's this filling your brain full of books that I like to talk about a lot. Most of our patrons think that you've read every book on the shelves, right? So let's keep that mystery alive, shall we? So you can use our monthly list to increase your familiarity with publishers, increase your awareness of new books, checking out what's going to be trending right now. I had to laugh when Melissa was talking about witchy romance, because yep, we are seeing so much of that. It is such a trendy thing. And it helps you enhance your reader's advisory skills because we put appeal factors in our annotations. And then we also have our wonderful partners over at Novelist give us a read-alike for all of the top 10 titles, which is awesome. Next slide. So our list comes out. There's the April list right there. The list comes out every month on the 15th. And you can get it if you sign up at our website. The bottom corner of our website, bottom right corner, has a little box for you to sign up for our email every month, and it will get to you directly. And then if you follow us also on social media, we put it out every the morning of the 15th at 9 a.m. Central. It comes out all gorgeous, ready to go, all the new books that you want to look at. You do the voting, we do the counting, and there you have it. So if you are a regular Library Reads user, you're familiar with what our list looks like, these fabulous annotations that appear. One of the things I like to remind people of is when you go to vote for the book, you not only can just place your vote, you can write an accompanying annotation. Lots of these come through. We are so excited when we see that because we think that that is what makes our list so special. We are not just taking a blurb from the back of the book. It's not one of our board members that's writing all the annotations. These are actually what real readers, real library folks are saying about these books. I'll show you up close on the next slide, please. So here's an example of one of our recent annotations, and you can see right there how easy it is to know the book without even having to read it first. We've got your basic plot points right there. We've got the type of story and the appeal right there. And then we've got our read-alike suggestion. So for this particular one, we've got right there, first line, very brief plot description. Then we've got, it's a cottagecore novel, pure delight. Here's a read-alike for you. So boom, someone comes in and is asking for this type of magical book. You've got an instant recommendation right there. Next slide. So you're hearing today from our wonderful publisher friends about their upcoming books and how to get them. Here are some other ways to find out about eligible books and what to vote for. So of course, attending these type of webinars, fabulous. If you are fortunate enough to get to go to conferences or your state conferences, lots of publishers have booths there. They're giving away QR codes for digital downloads. They're giving away the physical ARCs. All you need to do is set yourself up on NetGalley and Edelweiss, or either or. And when you fill out your profile as working in a public library, that is what gives you the vote buttons for Library Reads. And it's what lets our publisher partners know that you're requesting this book in hopes of reading it and voting for it for Library Reads. If you fill out as many fields as possible on your profile, that will help you get whitelisted for things. It will help you get instant downloads for stuff, all of that good time stuff. Now, as you can see from today's program, our publisher friends have staff devoted to library outreach. These are great people to contact when there's a specific book that you want. They also all have publisher newsletters, etc. Next slide, we have a directory of all of our publisher partners that includes their websites, contact people, and newsletter links. That is available on our website at libraryreads.org/resources. Next slide. So how do you vote? Well, I don't have enough time here to teach you how to vote, but that's okay. We have videos on our YouTube channel. We also have a full list of frequently asked questions and full directions on how to use NetGalley and Edelweiss for our voting platforms. Just a reminder, again, those are free to sign up for and free to use. You can be voting from your digital galleys and from your print galleys. So check out our website to get all of the details that you need. Next slide. Just a quick look at how you find the books on Edelweiss. Next slide. And here's information on NetGalley. Again, I have all of these linked on our website. Next slide. And then the top 3 questions from new users. I always like to round things out with this because it's our frequently asked questions. Do you have to sign up or register with LibraryReads in order to participate? No, you just have to register for Edelweiss or NetGalley. Does LibraryReads send out books? We do not. Voters access the titles as ebooks via the aforementioned Edelweiss and NetGalley. You access your ARCs by contacting our library marketing partners, and we have all of that info again, like I said, on the website. And then the biggie, does it cost me or my library anything to participate? Never. All of our materials are free to any user, and there is no charge associated with using Edelweiss or NetGalley. We exist thanks to the generous partnerships we have with US publishers, so we will never be asking you for money. In fact, we have money to give away to you. There's information on our website as well about how you can apply for travel grants to conferences and how you can apply to get money for speakers for your library staff days. As long as everything is related to Reader's Advisory, we are happy to help you out with that. So that is my time. Please let me know if you have any questions about LibraryReads, about our process, about how it works. If you're looking to participate and you don't know how to start, shoot me an email. I've got info at LibraryReads down there, but go ahead and send it right to me. I'm going to get that anyway, which is Rebecca at libraryreads.org. And I look forward to hearing from folks. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And a huge thank you to all of today's wonderful panelists. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's video recording, slide presentation, title list, and a certificate of completion. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. You can also find out about the latest webinars on our social channels. Visit us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and now Blue Sky. We are thrilled to announce that the digital version of Booklist Reader, the monthly Reader's Advisory magazine from the editors of Booklist, which also includes the monthly Library Reads list, is now an ALA member benefit. Head over to our news site to start reading. And if you're not already a Booklist subscriber, you'll use your ALA membership ID to sign in. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. A huge thank you to our sponsors, Tor Publishing Group, Simon & Schuster, W.W. Norton, and Penguin Random House Library Marketing, and to our partner, LibraryReads. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.